American Airlines crew punches a Brazilian passenger as she was attempting to breach the cockpit. Is it justified? Actually, what happened? Let's get into the story.
Okay, let's get into this. Picture this. You're sitting on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, American Airlines Flight 950, São Paulo, ready for New York.
Yeah, that feeling, right, anticipation.
Exactly. But on April 24th, out of Guarulhos Airport, that feeling, it flipped pretty dramatically for some people.
Something happened just before they were supposed to take off.
Right. So our deep dive today is really about that moment. A passenger, apparently really frustrated by a delay, tried to get into the cockpit.
Which is, I mean, a huge red flag, a major incident.
Totally. So what exactly went down? What were the immediate, consequences? And what wider issues does this whole thing shine a light on?
Well, it's kind of startling how fast it escalated from just like a standard flight delay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just talking someone raising their voice. Reports say this was a physical attempt to breach the cockpit.
Wow. Okay.
And that sets off a whole chain reaction. The crew has to respond in a very specific way. There's no negotiation there.
Right. You see that in the video that's been circulating, right? The crew physically intervening.
Yes, absolutely. Preventing her from getting anywhere near that door.
So the immediate result, obviously, the plane didn't leave. It went back to the gate.
Correct, back to the gate.
So besides the delay, what else happened on the ground there?
Well, the focus immediately shifts 100% to safety and security protocols.
Makes sense.
So the passenger who caused the disruption, she was removed. And apparently there was another person, someone shouting during it all, who was also taken off the flight.
Oh, okay. So 2 people removed.
Seems like it. And this whole process, dealing with the incident, removing the passengers, getting security involved, it resulted in about a 2-hour delay for everyone else.
2 hours.
Yeah. And it really highlights, the airline's procedures. De-escalation is always the goal. But when there's a physical threat, especially towards the cockpit, immediate action is required.
And it's interesting, isn't it, that our sources, they don't have confirmation of any formal charges being filed yet against either person.
That's right. It often takes time. The airline security, maybe law enforcement, they'd need to review everything that happened.
So the airline handles the immediate threat, the containment.
Exactly. Secure the plane, ensure everyone else is safe. The legal side, that usually follows depending on how serious they assess the situation to be after the fact.
Now, the reaction online to the video, it seems pretty split, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. You see some people saying, was that much force necessary? Questioning the crew's response. But then you have just as many, maybe more, saying absolutely necessary. You cannot mess with the cockpit. Defending the crew's actions quite strongly.
What does that tell you about how we as passengers see these things?
It really lays bare this kind of inherent tension in flying now. You've got passenger frustration, and let's face it, delays are frustrating. Flying can be stressful. But on the other hand, you have this absolute, unshakable need for security, especially post 9/11 cockpit security.
Right. Non-negotiable.
Precisely. So these differing reactions online, they kind of show there isn't really a universal agreement on how these conflicts should be managed when they turn physical. People see it through different lenses.
American Airlines put out a statement, didn't they? What was their official line?
Pretty standard and what you'd expect, really. They confirmed the flight returned to the gate because of a security issue involving disruptive passengers.
Okay.
And they emphasized that their priority is always, always the safety and security of passengers and crew. They also acknowledged the delay and apologized for the inconvenience. Safety first, basically.
Which is the right message, of course. So if we zoom out a bit, what broader, maybe systemic issues in air travel does this incident touch upon for you?
I think it hits on a few key things. First, it's just another stark reminder. Cockpit security is paramount. Any attempt, perceived or real, to breach it will be met forcefully. That's the reality. Second, it does reflect what seems to be rising passenger frustration. Maybe it's delays, maybe it's communication, maybe just the stress of it all. That frustration can boil over.
We do hear more about unruly passengers lately, it seems.
Exactly. And third, it kind of forces us to look again at how airline crews are trained and equipped to handle these situations. How do you de-escalate effectively in such a confined space, but also act decisively when needed? It's a tough balance.
So let's recap quickly. An attempt to enter the cockpit over a delay in São Paulo. Physical confrontation, flight returns, 2-hour delay, mixed reactions online about the crew's forcefulness.
Yep. And no confirmed word on charges just yet.
And the airline stands by its safety protocols. It really paints a picture of the pressures involved in modern air travel.
It does. And while this was, quite dramatic with the cockpit attempt, the underlying theme of passenger disruption isn't entirely new. We're seeing ongoing debates about passenger conduct and how airlines should respond. This is like a flashpoint for those tensions.
Yeah, very visible example. So here's something to think about, maybe mull over. When you're in that confined aircraft cabin, dealing with the stress of delays, what are those unseen pressures? Both on the passengers feeling frustrated and on the airline staff who have this immense responsibility for safety and security.
Frustration
It's a complex
for
dynamic,
flight
isn't
delay.
it? Especially
Comment your
up in the
thoughts
air.
on this story. Thanks.